going to be going over the fundamentals and basics of Python. This is going to be our IDE for today. So once you're logged into your Replit account, go ahead and click create right there. And create, you want to make sure that you select Python, and it gives a random title, but obviously we'll go ahead and put fundamentals or introduction to Python. So that way you can save your file. You can always look back on there. That's why we wanted you to create a Replit account, so that way you can save it, go back, edit, and view the code. So we're ready for next week when we do our project. So after that, you're gonna go ahead and create REPL. After you hit create REPL, it's gonna go ahead and open up your interface right here. I'm gonna go ahead and move this to the side for now. On the right side, you have your console where when you run your code right here, that's where it's going to execute, and you're going to see everything that you're able to be doing. Over here is where you're going to be typing in your code. This is just a generic message, but we can type and then it goes away. So like most coding classes, we're going to go ahead and start out with the most basic things. Everybody type in print. It's a little small. I'm going to go ahead and actually make it a lot larger so everybody can see. Is that a lot better? Okay. So, let's see where I can put this. Let's just put this here for now. Or so, everybody go ahead and type in print. Print is a statement that goes ahead and displays whatever's in there. So, in order to go ahead and print out a bit of string, you use a parentheses, and then you use either a double quotation or a single quotation. So let's start off with a single quotation, and we're gonna write, "Hello, world." You've probably seen this in your other classes. So what this does is now on your console where you're gonna run your program and show the execution of your code, it's just gonna say, "Hello, world." Pretty simple, right? You can do this as many times as you want, different pieces of string, single or double quotations. So if I want to be like, this is my first time coding Python. Boom. So now it does both. It goes in order. When you're programming in Python, it goes from the first line, second line, and down in order depending on how many lines you have. So you can go ahead and keep executing them as many times as you want. Notice how I have the second line, but it's going to print out both the first and the second. Now, what happens if I don't have, what is it called? What if I don't have the quotation marks? It's going to give me an error because it's not reading this as rather string, it's rather as a variable, but there was no variable declared with this long name, and you can't really have spaces in variables as well. Now, question, what if I want to go ahead and do something like this? My, let's see. My mom's favorite color is blue. What do you guys think is going to happen? Anybody raise your hand? Yeah. There's going to be an error because this first quotation is already going to get cut off by this second quotation. So now the question is, when do we use single quotations? When do we use double quotations? For things exactly like this. So if I have a single quotation in the text that I want to print out, then I'm going to have a double quotation on the end so I can include that single quotation inside. Now it displays everything, including the single quotation part there. Vice versa when you're doing the opposite. So for instance, if I want to go ahead and do a quote, like say, John said, hello, Samir. Notice how it's going to still, let me see what this is. Notice how it goes ahead and includes these double quotations because we use single quotations on the outside. That's the beauty of Python. It's very simple. It's very easy to use and understand. So when you have a single quotation inside the print statement, you use double quotations on the outside. Vice versa. You want to use single quotations on the outside when you want to use double quotations on the inside. Now, it's not limited to just string, but let's go ahead and do some examples. Like if I want to go ahead and write print 100, well, 100 will print out. But we'll go over it in just a second. This is still considered a string instead of an actual integer. And we'll go over what that means in just a little bit. So everybody go ahead and try the print statement and try integrating quotations in the different ways. I'll give you guys about 2 minutes to do so. All right. So print, as you guys all know, is a function. It is a internet, what is it called? Universal function. So no matter what, you'll always be able to access the print function, but you won't be able to go ahead and access certain functions that require a specific library. One library that is important to use is the time library. So whenever we start, we want to go ahead and start with the time. We want to make sure that we declare what libraries we're going to be using. So this is going to be the time library. The reason why there's a squiggly, like an orange squiggly underneath, is because we haven't used any functions in the time library yet. Another thing that is very important to do is something that does not affect the code at all, but it's going to be helpful when you have pages and pages of code. It's to write comments. So comments are going to be starting with a hashtag or pound symbol, and then you can be like, these are the libraries. So nothing's going to execute with that comment, and it's going to be listed in green, but it's just for your self note. So when you have a lot of different code, you can go ahead and differentiate and see where an error might be if you run into it, rather than just going through every single bit of code, which can be very tedious. So it's always useful to write comments, and it is going to be the organization that you need to become successful coders. So what are we going to do with import time? First, let's go ahead and get our universal function print. Let's go ahead and write rocket ship blast off. So we'll go ahead and run the code. Orange squiggly doesn't give us an error, the red one does. So it just says rocket ship blast off. Let's go ahead and create some more code. As we hit enter, on the left side, there's different lines of code that gets created. There's nothing wrong with putting spaces in between, just so that way your code gets a little bit more organized. And like I said, you can write comments. You can even write it underneath. Like, hey, print statement for blast off. So then we're going to go ahead and import the sleep function from the time library. The way we do that is we put the library name first, and then we're going to go ahead and hit sleep to get that function from the time library. What sleep does, it gives you the delay, and inside the parentheses, meaning the argument inside the parentheses, is going to determine how many seconds you want to delay the next line to be. So for this time, we're going to just do 2 just to show you. So a comment that makes sense would be like, we will delay here for 2 seconds. All right, next, we can go ahead and write print. And then in parentheses and quotations, we'll go 5. And we can copy this. Sometimes copying and pasting works, sometimes doesn't. And this, it will go ahead and be a great idea. We're gonna go ahead and make about 5 of them. The reason for this is because instead of writing print so many times, we could just go and edit what's inside the quotation marks. 4, 3, because it's a rocket ship countdown, So we're gonna go at 2, and then 1, and we'll go 1 more at the end. And then instead of saying 5, we'll go blast off. Now, we can go like this. Rocket ship blast off 1, 2, and it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's not what we want. We're going to go ahead and add the time sleep in between each of the little print statements. So in between, it goes 5, it takes like a second to read down. And obviously between 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, that's increments of 1 second. So I can go ahead and change the argument to 1. So now there's going to be 1 second in between. So what I want to do is just copy the one after I edit the one that has 2 on there. So I can go ahead and put a 1 second increment on there. Now it's going to go ahead and say rocket ship blast off. Give 2 seconds, start the countdown, and every single second you're going to wait an actual second, so it's a little bit more dramatic. So we'll go ahead and run the. We're going to run to the console. So rocket ship blast off. 1, 2, 5. 1 second. 4. 1 second. 3. 1 second. 2. 1 second. 1. 1 second, and blast off. Does that make sense? Cool. Like I said, I know we're going a little fast, but we're going to be having a limited amount of time, but the recording should be on the Discord or wherever soon for everybody to access. All right. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get rid of this. Is we're going to go ahead and print numbers. 15. Oh, whoops. You remember, for every opening parentheses, you need a closing parentheses. Same thing with quotations. Print -4. We could have negatives. Print, let's say, -3.14. We could have decimals. So we're going to go ahead and print all of those. And it should just go 15, -4, 3.14. Pretty simple, right? We could also do things that are going to be math operators. So math operators are going to include these things right here. Let me go ahead and pull it up. So I'm going to write a comment, and you can always write these comments so that way you can go ahead and understand what we're doing, and that way you can always reference your own comments. That's another way to utilize comments. So addition will be the plus sign. Subtraction will be the minus sign. We're going to have multiplication. That would be the asterisk sign. Asterisk sign. We're going to have division, and that's going to be the / sign. We're going to have that is called modulo. So the modulus is not the most familiar name, but it is pretty simple to kind of grasp. It's going to be represented by a % symbol. It's just basically saying what the remainder of a division operation would be. So if I had 5 divided by 2, that's 2 with a remainder of 1. So that remainder, which is 1, will be what's inputted or outputted if you're printing. And you can put a little note right there, just remainder of division. It helps out a lot with like 0, 1, like binary, what we use in a lot of electrical and computer engineering classes, EM set and E set and whatnot. Because binary 0, 1, is it true, is it false? If it's 0, then we're going to go ahead and have an even amount of people. For 1, then we're going to have an odd amount of people. So there's several different applications where we can go ahead and use this.
Even odds too.
Yeah, even odds too. So then the next one is exponential. So exponents, they're going to be represented instead of 1 asterisk sign like multiplication, it's double asterisk sign. We're going to also have floor division, which is another relatively uncommon term. It's going to be a estimate of when you divide, but let's say we have 27 divided by 7. That's going to be 3 with a remainder of 6. Even though it's so close to being 4, like 3 remainder 6 over 7, it's going to go floor, meaning it's going to go to the least value. So it's between 3 and 4. It'll always go down to 3, if that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense right away, we'll do some examples. I'll go ahead and show you guys.
Rounding down.
I was. Okay. And that's going to be represented by 2 backslashes. So division that rounds down pretty much. Let's go ahead and try some of these. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Notice how the console is still displaying the things we went ahead and deleted from our code. It's because we haven't ran the next set of code. And if we run this, it's all comments, so nothing's going to be executed on the console. All right, so let's go ahead and hit print. Actually, let's just go ahead 3 times 5. Nothing happens, right? Because we haven't put a function to it. So if we want this to display, remember, we're going to use print. Now, do I want quotations or do I not want quotations when I'm doing this? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. If I go ahead and just print 3 times 5 with the quotation marks, then we're just literally going to have whatever's in those quotation marks. So for numbers, we do not want to have quotations if we want to go ahead and use the mathematical operators. So now it's gonna print out 15. Let's go ahead and print. I'm gonna go through each one real quick. 5 minus 3. Let's go 3 minus 5. So now it displays both of them in -2. Let's go print 3 times 5, right? And you can put spaces in between the number and operator. You can put it next to each other, put it further away. Yeah. Oh, sorry, we already did that. I meant to put 3 plus 5 on top. I was trying to go in order. My fault about that. So now it's gonna read 8, -2, and 15, because that's what's gonna go in order. My fault on that. Then we're gonna go ahead, let's do division. Let's do 10 divided by 2. So that's 5.0. Notice how when you do division, and it's gonna be the only operator here, division, where it's gonna give you a float number, a number with a decimal point. More about that in a little bit. Let's see what happens if I use 10 divided by like 3. What happens here? It'll go ahead and round and it'll go ahead and show so many different decimal points. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Let's go ahead and do modulo. So let's say if I want to do 10, let's see, 10 remainder of 3, if that makes any sense. So 10 divided by 3, but it's going to go ahead and show the remainder of it. So 10 divided by 3 is 3 with the remainder of 1. Theoretically, we should have a 1 as a remainder, which we do. And like I mentioned, if I have modulo 2, it's only going to go ahead and show zeros and ones, because when you divide by 2, you can only have a remainder of either 0 or 1. So if I have a number like something like that, obviously it's an odd number because of the 5 right there. But when you multiply things, when you have big numbers at the end of it, instead of picking through everything and taking a lot of time, it'll do it for you. And it'll show, hey, the number when you multiply 5,372 times 2,771, if you use the modulus function correctly with modulo 2, you'll have a 0 or 1 to indicate that that product will either be a odd or even number, a 1 or a 0 remainder. If it's a 0 remainder, then it's going to be an even number. If it's going to be a 1, it's going to be an odd number. We're also going to go ahead and print. Let's try exponent. So if I want to go like, let's try binary, like 2 to the 10th power. You know what I mean? That's going to be let's see. It's going to be a large number, 1024. And then lastly, floor division. This is the one that was also a little bit different. So if I have 8 divided by 2, obviously it's 4, no matter what, if you round or if you don't round. 4.0, similar to division, floor division, they're going to be the only operators that give you a float point, a decimal point. So if I want to go ahead and do 8, let's say 8 divided by, let's say 3, it's like 2 and remainder of 2. But instead of, even though 2 and 2/3 is closer to 3 than it is to 2, we use floor division. And so it's going to go ahead and show us, oh, I apologize. We went ahead and did a single division sign. So without that, it's just going to be a 2 instead of, even though it's closer to 3. So that's what's floor division. It goes ahead and does that. All right. So go ahead and play around with that. See if you can make some mathematical equations. I'll give you guys about a minute or so, and we'll go on to the next exercise. Is everybody following along? Am I going a little too fast for everyone? Good. Cool. Like I said, ask your partners first. At the end, we'll have some time for questions. I just want to make sure we get through everything so we're set for next week.
Show me this a bit.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You need it up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. So the next topic we're going to talk about is variables. Like math class, x equals 5. That just stores a value of 5 for a variable named x. The equal sign in coding for Python doesn't necessarily mean equal to. It just means it assigns a value to a variable. So y equals 7. Print x plus y. Now what's going to happen? Nothing. Because, oh, I'm sorry. I meant to just write x plus y and trick you guys. Because without the print statement, it's literally just going to add them, but it's not going to display because we never called to display. So that's why we want to always make sure to have the right function in front of everything. So it's going to go ahead and show 12, and it's a variable, meaning the value of the variable varies. It could change. If I want to make it 8, well, it's 8 plus 7. Well, now it's going to show 15, even though everything else is the same. If I want to go x to the exponent of y, so that means 8 to the 7th power. That's going to be a really large number, 2,097,152. Really cool things that you could automate. Python is about making sure you don't have to go through each itty bitty thing and automate things so that way larger projects can be really easy to go and ahead and do. You can also make a variable be not just a mathematical function, but say if I want to put username is equal to Sam. And then I could just go ahead and print username. And it'll just print out the string Sam without the quotations, because the quotations show that it's a string and it's going to print whatever is inside those quotations. So now what if I want to go ahead and print a string of the 3? So now it's just going to print 3. But what if I want to go ahead and do this? I'm going to go ahead and print username times 2. Is it going to give me a 6? Because 3 times 2 is 6? No, because we put it as a string, it's going to take whatever that string is and put 2 of that value. So it's going to show 33. Or in this case, not really 33, just 2 strings of 3. If I wanted to do 55 of them, guess what? Now we have 55 strings of 3. So in order to make sure that you use the right thing is if you want to put it as a string, put in quotations. If you don't, take it out of the quotation marks. So now I'll go and just show 55 times 3, which is 165. One thing that's really cool is you could actually add string together. So if I want to go ahead and hit, let's say string 1, and you can't have any, see how it says there's a space between string and 1? That is not a legal variable name. You have to make sure that there's no spaces. A common way to separate 2 different words in a variable, but keeping it as still a legal variable, is by using an underscore. So it could be something like that. But we'll go ahead and just do it like this without the space. And we're going to go ahead and assign it to the string happy. String 2, the second arbitrary piece of string. As you guys could see, you probably want to make variable names something that's according to whatever we want to go ahead and something that has to do with the actual string. This is just an arbitrary one, so that's why we just say string 1 and string 2, but usually you want to make it more specific. So happy and birthday does nothing because we didn't do any functions to it. But if we want to go ahead and just go print string 1 plus string 2, then it's not going to work because I typed sting. So also variables are very specific. If I have another variable named sting, that's what it's trying to pick up on. So that's why make sure you spell the variables correctly. String 1 plus string 2. It's going to go happy birthday. Notice how there's no space. So you can do one of 2 things. Either go plus, and then you can put a open little quotation that acts as a space. So it's like this. Oh, I forgot. There should be a space inside of there. So you can do that, and it spaces it out. Or you can go back to one of the variable names. You can put a space right here. So happy space birthday, because they take the space into consideration when using quotations. Or you can go ahead and put a space over B, before B, and it's going to give you the same kind of result. Now, let's go ahead and see what happens if I multiply them together. It's an error. Can't really multiply 2 pieces of string. But you can add them, put them together, and make sure that if you want to space it out, write the appropriate spaces. Go ahead and do some practice with that, and I'll get the next exercise going as well. I think. All right.
What else do we need to go to?
Huh?
What else do we need to go to?
Just a few minutes. Yeah, it's not all that. It just I'm going to select stuff. All right, so the next library we're going to learn about is not just time, but we also have a library called random. And again, this is a library that goes ahead and it gives you functions of that specific library that is not a part of the universal function list. So it only gives you, it not only gives you, it includes functions from not only the universal list of functions, but also the list of functions in the import library. So one thing we could do is we can get a random number. So if you want to do like a guessing game or a lottery system you want to make with your code, you can go ahead and print, or sorry, you can go ahead and let's say we do x equals random dot. Remember, we use that to go ahead and take from the random library and use our own function. The new function we're going to learn is called randint. If you guys can pick up on it, it's a random integer, a random like number you can pick through. And you see how it gives you a shortcut right here. You can click on it and it shows you the two different arguments, so A and B. So that's going to be from one number to the last number. So if I want to pick a random number between 1 and 5, then that's what's going to be right there. So I can go ahead and print X. So now it's going to go ahead and cycle through a number between 1 and 5 randomly. So we picked 1. Is it going to be 1 again? Potentially, we have a 1 out of 5 chances. 5, 3. I don't know exactly what kind of algorithms they use, but basically it's just going to be a random numbering system. We can go all the way from like 10,000. What if we have 10,000 people? You want to select some lucky random lottery winner? Well, now we got 8,439. So if you're 8,439, congratulations, you won some sort of made-up lottery. You could also do negative numbers. It's not limited to just, you know, a positive integers. You can go right, and let's see if we can do negative 10 to negative 3, so we end up with a negative number. Cool. And another thing is that what if I have something like this, negative 10 to negative 9, which doesn't really, I'm sorry, to negative 11, which doesn't really make too much sense because it's going in the opposite order. Just gives us an error. So remember that it's sequential, smaller number, comma, larger number. All right. Go ahead and play around with that. I'm going to get the next set going. Is anybody totally lost? It's okay. That way I can talk to you after, kind of help you out, give you some guidance. And again, if you don't want to speak up now, we can always show you guys the video a little bit later. All right. So, like I told you, there's going to be 3 major data types, and I guess you might consider a data type if you use comments or not, but some people don't. It just depends. So you have comments, oops, with a hashtag sign. Oops. You have a str. That means you want to convert whatever variable you have into a string function. You have float, which means a number with a decimal point on there. So if it's 4, 4.0, if it's 5.2, it's 5.2. And then later on, we might go over, we might not, but there are other functions you can include in there to make set how many decimal points you want on there when you're including that in print statements. So float would be like a number with a decimal. And then simply integer, which is going to be a number without a decimal, like a whole number. Let's see. It's interesting how you can kind of convert 2 different data types to each other. So since A is going to equal a string of 45 and B is going to equal a value of 20. So this obviously is a string. This obviously is an integer. but I can go ahead and do a print to display. And I'm gonna go ahead and put an int behind variable A. So it's a parentheses inside of parentheses, could get a little confusing. Just remember to match every opening parenthesis with the appropriate closing parentheses. Not too many, not more or not less, exact amount. So now we're converting the string into an integer value. So now we're gonna go ahead and hit integer A plus B because it's already an integer form. So this is what's gonna print out. Integer A is going to convert 45 string into 45 number, and then it's going to add by the other number 20, 65. I could optionally do this a different way. I can go ahead and maybe I want to convert B to a string, just like how A is. Notice how it gives me an error? It's because I'm missing a parentheses. You can click on a parentheses, it shows you the end one, shows here, and it shows the opening one. So make sure you have the correct amount of parentheses, and now it'll be 4520 because it's string we're adding, so it puts it together without any spaces. If you want to do it like this, you can go ahead and float A. And then float B. Pretty much 45 plus 20, but now we're going to have it in a sort of decimal form, 65.0. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, we're getting to the good stuff. Inputting. This is how, instead of printing a specific thing that the coder is going to use, now you can get input from your user. So serial is going to be our variable name, because remember, make your variable according to what we're going to be using it for. So you can go ahead and input, which is a new function, and then you can write enter a serial name. And you can put a colon and a space, so that way it shows a space. That way, whatever they input is not really that close to the colon side. So if I have that, then I can go ahead and type in a serial name. Let's say Cheerios. Well, that's not really going to do much. Yes, now serial is assigned to the Cheerios string, but we didn't print out anything. So we're going to go ahead and go print serial. That's not going to work because we need parentheses. Print the variable serial. Right now, it's still stuck with the input of cereal of Cheerios, but we can change it. I mean, obviously, it doesn't have to be correct, but let's just say hash browns just for fun. No matter what, we're printing whatever the user typed in for cereal. Let me see. Another thing you could do is you can put serial, comma. The comma separates two different values that you can assign into or arguments that you can assign into the print statement. So it prints multiple things. So first, it'll print whatever the user inputs as their favorite cereal, and then you can put in a string and you probably want to put a space because it's not going to default to a space, is my favorite cereal. With an exclamation point if you want. So now I'll have the name, a space, is my favorite cereal. So Honey Bunches of Oats, it's actually my real favorite cereal. I love that. Honey Bunch of Oats is my favorite cereal. I apologize. I believe it might actually just give you a space by default when you do it like this, separated by the comma. So the comma does give you a space. So my fault on that. Honey Bunch, oh, I should type in, let's say Cheerios, just to make it short. Cheerios is my favorite cereal. Cool. So that's how you use the input function so you can get some user information. Go ahead and practice with that. We'll go to the next topic. I appreciate you guys being patient with me. I know we're going pretty fast, but like I said, we'll have some time for questions as well as the video recording of this. All right. So we're going to be going ahead and doing conditional statements. Who here has taken 2300 and 2300 lab? ECE 2300, 2300 lab? So just a few of you. So that's digital logic design where you guys use and, or, nor, X or, X and. So those are called conditional statements. Basically, let's bring it back, guys. So basically, when we go ahead and use conditional statements, it's going to be something like that we're used to. But it's a little bit different when we're trying to do true and false. So let's say weather is going to be equal to the string sunny. So we're going to go and print whether the variable weather is actually listed as sunny or not. So do we think that weather is equal to sunny? By doing two equal signs, it actually gives you either a true or a false statement. Now, contrary to belief, this actually give you a false, because this S and this S are two different cases. This is lowercase, this is uppercase. It's case sensitive whenever you code. So this is going to be now true because we change it to make it exact. So a double equal sign is saying whether it's true or not. Is it equal to? It's interesting how we have one equal sign. This is going to be assigning a variable to a value. Double equal sign is going to be the equal that we're usually used to. Let's see. So conditional statements can be used similarly to this. We're going to go ahead and write that down. Equal sign is equal to exclamation equal is not equal to exclamation representing not. Greater than is greater than, obviously. Less than is obviously less than. You know, crocodile, whether it wants a larger number. And then lastly, greater than or equal to. Remember, the greater than or less than sign goes first before the equal sign, otherwise it won't work. So greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. And you know, this is something we learned in like first, second grade, but this is really good to be used towards coding. It's a big factor to it. It helps you make really cool projects with. So I'll give you guys a second to copy that down. So I'm gonna get rid of this top part and keep this so we can go ahead and refer to it. So print 1 is equal, meaning two equal signs, to 1, and that's a new terminology we're using, and 2 is equal to 2. When we use and, that means both statements have to be true in order for it to give us a true. Because it gives us true. If we go ahead and put a 3 right here, 2 is not equal to 3, even though 1 is equal to 1, we use and. Both of them have to be the same if and. But with or, it could be either one of them. If the first one is true, it'll give you a true. If the second one is true and the first one is wrong, it'll give you a true. If both of them are correct, it'll still give you, because one or the other, in this case both. But if both of them are not correct, then it'll give you a false. Okay. Now we're going to go into something called the if statement, which is going to be the basis for next week's workshop. And I think we're going to end it pretty soon. If true, sorry, I apologize. If 1 is equal to 1, which we all know it is, then notice how when we hit enter, it indents. Indentation is very important when you have functions within each other. So the if statement, so if 1 is equal to 1, print this is true. You can hit enter again, and you hit backspace, and you can go ahead and write else. So the if else statement has to be on the same line. And remember, after an if statement, you have to have quotation. And then it automatically indents right there. So you see if and else are on the same line, and then the cases for if and else, then print this is not true. So because 1 equals 1 is true, it stops right here. This is true. If 1 is not equal to 1, this is not true. It's false. Because we put the else statement. We can also do this. If 1, or we can go and make a variable, x is equal to 7. If 1 is less than X, meaning 1 is less than 7, print this is true. Print it's not true. So this is true, obviously. Let's see, and we can also do between as well. If 7 is in between that 1 and 10, then print this is true, which it is. If not, then don't print it. You can also put another statement called elif, which is a specific if statement that's outside of the beginning if statement. So it's another specific logical statement that we're going to use. And remember, elif x is greater than 10 colon, and it spaces it out, print number is too high. Else, meaning every single other statement that has nothing to do with the if statement, that has nothing to do with the elif statement, then print out whatever else could possibly be. So this is true. Now, what if I put greater than or equal to 10 and see how I can put less than or equal to 10? So what if I put a 10 here? What is it going to go to? Is it going to go to this if statement or this elif statement? Because it meets the requirements of both. The answer is it's just going to stop here because the code goes down from 8, 9, 10. And if it meets 10, it's not going to go down to 11. So code is very order specific, goes in chronological order. So that is something to keep in mind for sure. All right. We're running a little out of time. Just remember that or statement, the and statement, and other logical operators that we have up here, comparison operators, we can put that towards if statements and else statements and elif statements. So if is a condition, elif is a condition, and else is a remainder of conditions. You can have just if and else. That's going to be one condition, and everything else will be this. If this condition, elif this other specific condition. You can have as many elifs. Those are specific conditions, but a very broad, the broad conditions, everything else other than those specifics that we listed with if and elif, that's going to be happening with else, if that makes sense. Okay. Let me double check. I think that might be it. Let's see. 0 print positive. Yeah, that is going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then I'm going to go ahead and have you guys ask questions for about 5 minutes. And anybody in the Zoom can also ask some questions. Thank you, Maribel. I appreciate that comment. This is Samir Sharma, President IEEE CPP, signing off.